A pleasant day to everyone. I am Lourdes Visorio, Master Teacher 1, Junior High School Department of VICENTE ANDAYA Senior National High School. It's been an honor to be one of the presenters of the 2022 BDP Multidisciplinary Research International Conference. I will be presenting to you my completed action research entitled Localized Worksheets as Aid to Enhance Students' Conceptual Understanding in Identification of Variables in the Experiment. Most of what is happening around us can be explained with the laws, principles, theories, and concepts of science. Basic science concepts have been considered as a prerequisite for the understanding and explanation of subsequent science topics related to these concepts, and they also take responsibility for making sense of the associated concepts. This is according to Mann and Trigast, 2010. Therefore, it is very essential that these concepts should be learned accurately from elementary to secondary for a better science education. The present COVID-19 pandemic has brought extraordinary challenges and has affected educational sectors, and no one knows when it will end. Globally, everything has stopped. Projects have been delayed, workplaces closed, and school programs shut down. The world seems to have ground to a halt because of the novel coronavirus. This viewpoint offers guidance to teachers, institutional heads, and officials on addressing the crisis. The crisis is a problem in the pre-existing education by reducing the opportunities for many to continue their learning. However, in response to school closures, the use of distance learning programs open educational applications and platforms that schools and teachers can use to reach learners and limit the disruption of education was recommended. Since students need to develop science process skills such as observing, question raising, designing and making, predicting, hypothesizing, identifying variables, communicating effectively, devising and planning investigations, measuring and calculating, finding patterns and relationships, manipulating materials and equipment effectively in performing simple to complex science investigations. These skills are very vital in solving our day-to-day problems. So, the students are expected to demonstrate an understanding of scientific ways of acquiring knowledge and solving problems. Thus, they are expected to describe the components of the scientific method, and one of its components is identifying variables in the experiment. In this aspect, where the students have a great deal of difficulty in the concept of understanding in identifying independent, dependent, and constant variables. To address this problem, the researcher was conducted this action research to expose the students to the variety of localized worksheets that were designed as a way to get the students to quickly read and identify the variables in each scenario. More specifically, it sought to answer the following questions. First, what is the level of conceptual understanding of grade 7 students in identifying the variables in the experiment before they are exposed to localized worksheets? Second, what is the level of conceptual understanding of grade 7 students in identifying the variables in the experiment after they are exposed to localized worksheets? This action research utilized 15 grade 7 STE students under the Special Curriculum Program in Science, Technology, and Engineering, enrolled in VICENTE ANDAYA Senior National High School using purposive sampling. The data on the conceptual understanding of students in identifying variables in the experiment were gathered using a teacher-made summative test in both pre-test and post-test. The instrument underwent content validation and item analysis for reliability. The intervention using localized worksheets were utilized during the modular-based instruction. The statistical tool used was mean and mean percentile score. In categorizing the level of understanding among participants of the study, the following scale was used as a basis: 8 to 10, excellent; 6 to 7.99, very good; 4 to 5.99, good; 2 to 3.99, fair; and 0.1 to 1.99, poor. For level of conceptual understanding of grade 7 students in identifying the variables in the experiment before the intervention, the result shows that the mean of the pretest of the grade 7 STE students before the implementation of localized worksheets is 2.23 with an MPS of 20.66, which is verbally interpreted as fair. For level of conceptual understanding of grade 7 STE students in identifying the variables in the experiment after intervention, the result shows that the mean of the post-test of the grade 7 STE students after the implementation is 8.13 with an MPS of 81.33, which is verbally interpreted as excellent. There was an increase of 60.67 points in their post-test result when compared to their pre-test result. The students were given pre-test to determine the level of conceptual understanding in identifying the variables in the experiment before exposure to localized worksheet. Result of the mean and the MPS implies that the students need an intervention to improve the level of conceptual understanding in identifying variables in the experiment. After 6 weeks of exposure to localized worksheets, the result shows that the mean of the post-test of the grade 7 STE students after the implementation of localized worksheets is 8.13 with an MPS of 81.33, which is verbally interpreted as excellent. The increase in the level of conceptual understanding of identifying variables in the experiment of the grade 7 STE students after the intervention implies that using the localized worksheets, learners improve and enhance their skills to think critically, allowing them to better identify the variables in the experiment or scientific investigation. Constant practice of identifying variables using localized worksheets of the students sharpen and enhance their critical thinking skills. The result of this study supports the findings of K. Maki 2006 that the worksheet is a kind of printed instructional material that is prepared and frequently used by teachers in order to help students to gain knowledge, skills, and values by providing helpful comments about the course objectives, enabling students to engage in active learning and learning by doing in and out of the school. Education is man's most valuable possession. It is the concept through which one's love for learning stems, and the equipment used to pave an individual's path to success. Due to pandemic, students worried about the condition of education worldwide. The vision to produce educated individuals that can compete globally was written. Delivering of quality education to the learners must continue. As a teacher, we are playing a great role in the fulfillment of this vision, providing them motivational activities and supplementary materials for learning would be of great help to boost their interests to continue achieving quality education despite the challenges. The use of scientific method can help them also solve day-to-day problems. However, some students experiencing hardship in identifying variables, which is one of the steps in using that method. This can be addressed using an intervention that will help them develop their understanding and critical thinking ability. The support and encouragement coming from the family, community, schools, and teachers can also help in learning process of the students. The researcher believed that all learners should experience an undying love for learning. Mabuhay, Philippines! Thank you for listening and have a good day.